everyone, so today I am taking you with me and we are going to declutter, reorganize, and clean my kitchen cabinets and drawers. And honestly, that wasn't the plan for today. I wanted to do this video more like my bathroom cleaning video where I did a full-on deep clean, declutter everything. Like I want to do my stove and my fridge and my pantry and all of the things. And I also have a little bar area that I need to redo. If you hear pitter patter, it's my dog walking by. So got to decluttering my cabinets and drawers and I realized, oh, okay, this would take about 5 million years to get through the whole thing if I did my pantry, everything. And honestly, my pantry needs a whole makeover. It needs repainted. Everything needs help. I basically graduated college and realized I had spent the last several years just pushing things into closets and cabinets and closing them and pretending they didn't exist. It's basically been my life. So the good news is I figured I would do a little series with my kitchen, and it's not going to be consecutive. I'm going to do it over time, probably over like a couple months or whatever, where I just sprinkle it in with my other content. So if you like cleaning and organizing videos, there's more coming. Plus, putting out videos for you guys in this department keeps me accountable. So it's actually a win-win here. Also, before we start, I just want to let you know that I am not an expert at all when it comes to cleaning and organizing. So I'm not here to tell you how to do your kitchen or you have to do it this way or my way is the best. Actually, I'm still figuring it out a little bit myself. But just to kind of go over the time frame that I did this in. So I divided this up into 3 different days. I did all of my top cabinets on day 1, except for my everyday cabinet, because my everyday cabinets with my everyday dishes are already pretty much decluttered. So they just needed wiped down and then dishes put back. So I left those for the last day when I didn't have as much energy. Then the second day I did all of the drawers. So the third day I did all of the lower cabinets and I did the upper everyday cabinets. Also, this is a long one, so grab yourself a snack, get yourself a frosty beverage. Just enjoy not having to declutter my cabinets and just watching me do it. Because that's actually my favorite part. I love watching other people clean, and then I walk into my kitchen and I'm like, this wasn't me cleaning, what? Anyways, before I babble on any longer, if you want to see how I declutter, organize, and do a little cleaning of my kitchen cabinets, then just keep watching. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do is start clearing off a little bit of my countertop space to prepare for the amount of clutter that is about to be decluttered. So I'm going to start taking everything out of these top cabinets, everything except for there's 2 cabinets. One of them has my everyday glassware. The other cabinet has my everyday plateware, just my dishware. I only have 1 set. Those 2 cabinets I use every single day. They pretty much stay decluttered, but I will be going through those at the very end to take everything out and then wipe down the shelving and the cabinets and everything like that. So for now, I'm sticking to the things that I know are a mess because I do run out of energy. So I need to take all my decluttering energy and put them into these cabinets that clearly need serious help. As you can see here, this mug cabinet is in dire need. Everything is just stacked on top of each other. So I'm taking every single thing out of these cabinets. Even the things that I know that I want to keep, I take them out because there are things that get pushed behind things and things that I thought I wanted to keep that I really don't use or need. Plus, it gives me an opportunity to wipe everything down, get everything nice and clean, and a nice fresh start. So here I'm cleaning out this corner cabinet, and a lot of this is glassware, whether it's pitchers, beer glasses, what else do I have in here? Gravy boats, kind of just random stuff, but glassware. So to make my life easier later, I'll start placing things in categories. So all my beer and cocktail glasses together, all of my water bottles together, mixing bowls and liquid measuring cups, all that kind of stuff together. And as you can see here, place them all in categories. So later when I'm decluttering, I can see everything I have in that category and it'll just make it go by so much faster. So anyways, before we do that, I'm going to start wiping down my cabinets. So while I'm decluttering, they can just dry out. Anyways, how I wipe down my cabinets is first I go through with either a microfiber cloth or a Swiffer wipe, or Swiffer, it's like one of the dry sweeper things, but I use them as cloths sometimes. And I go through and make sure everything is nice and dusted off. Then I go through with a damp cloth with a little bit of dish soap. This isn't a crazy amount of dish soap where it's just foaming everywhere. And the cloth also isn't super wet to where it's just going to be dripping and
take forever to dry, and then it can leave water spots or damage the wood. I don't go that far. So just damp enough and just with a little bit of dish soap to where it can get off fingerprints and any maybe water stains or dirt. I don't know what's in cabinets. So I'm wiping those down, and then I take a dry cloth and go over them with a dry cloth. I just want to make sure that they're completely dry before I start putting things back. Anyways, I'll grab my little Dyson handheld vacuum thing. I don't know. This is the best thing that's ever happened to me. Let me just say that. I know that sounds weird, but it has saved me so much time from crumbs in my cabinet to glitter during the holidays. I can just grab this thing, suck whatever it is up, and move on with my life. But anyways, I'm going to finish wiping down this super greasy cabinet, and I'm going to move on to decluttering, which we're going to start with glassware. All right, so before I start decluttering, I grab a box so I can just put whatever glassware I'm not using or have too much of or don't need anymore in this box, take it straight out to my car when I'm done, and be able to drop it off at the donation center when I'm out running errands. So that's what I'm doing here. We had so many pint glasses. So I decided to keep 8 pint glasses since we have 8 place settings. I don't set my table with these necessarily, but when we do have people over during the holidays, we're gonna have at least 8 people, and we have a lot of beer drinkers. So also, my husband does use different beer glasses for different beer. So I kept a couple of each different type of glass as well. Next, moving on to an unforeseen problem, which was my water bottle collection and tumblers and I had no idea this was this bad. Anyways, I got rid of anything that I hadn't used in years. I still ended up with way too many water bottles that I probably should go through and declutter again, but I did my best here and just went for the obvious culprits, got rid of those and put them in a paper bag because they are all plastic or aluminum and light, and I needed the box for my heavier items coming up, which mugs, which we know, my mugs, once again, this is why I start decluttering my problem areas first so I can use all that energy to get through this, because you know I needed it. So I realized I like 2 types of mugs, either a spooky mug or a large mug, or on the best day ever, a large spooky mug. So I held on to all my spooky mugs, and then my husband's favorite mugs, which he likes the smaller mugs because he doesn't put milk or cream or anything in his coffee. So everything else or that we hadn't used in a long time, or that could be easily replaced if we decided we missed it, those types of mugs I went ahead and put in the donate box. And I did get it narrowed down. My ultimate goal was just to make sure I didn't have to stack them in my cabinet. I just wanted one single layer of mugs on each shelf. Okay, moving quickly here. Okay, what am I doing? Oh, miscellaneous kind of glass items, pitchers. I had these random cookie cutters, which I put in a Ziploc bag for now. When putting everything back, I really just wanted everything to kind of work for me here. I'm calling this my glassware cabinet. So on the bottom shelf, I have anything I need to reach for really quickly. Mixing bowls, liquid measuring cups, mason jars, things I use all the time and reach for all the time. Second shelf, I put larger pitchers and gravy boats in the back since I only use those during the holidays, and also organized all my beer glasses on the second shelf. So my husband can just grab them really quick and whenever he needs them. And then the top shelf ended up being a little miscellaneous, but it's kind of a work in progress. And I'm a little disappointed I didn't get a before shot because this cabinet was so bad, but here's what it looked like after, and it is a huge improvement. So the cabinet above the microwave is where I used to put my Vitamix blender and I think I had some coffee and some other things, some backups up here, but I decided to make this my water bottle cabinet since where I had them before, which was on the very top shelf of the glassware cabinet, wasn't working for me. Things got lost too easily. I couldn't see what I had, and I think that's why it became a little bit of a problem. So I still have too many, but it is an improvement. So this is my water bottle cabinet and coffee tumbler cabinet. I also put my large thermos situations in this cabinet above the fridge. I don't use them often, but I don't want to have to repurchase them later, so I put them there. So I was really excited because when I was cleaning out my mug cabinet, I'd found an extra shelf in there randomly, and I decided maybe my solution to my stacking mug problem would be to add an extra shelf. So I went ahead and did that. I kept a mug in there and put the stuff I keep on my bottom shelf because they're taller items. I kept them in there just for spacing purposes to make sure I got the correct spacing that I was wanting. And then I started putting all my mugs in. So I ended up rearranging my mugs quite a few times before I got the look I was going for. But I don't know, there's something that makes me so happy about opening a cabinet first thing in the morning. It's one of the first things I see, and I have a bunch of spooky mugs, and every day is Halloween. It's literally, It's a dream. So I just wanted it to look fancy. So I put black and white mugs on one shelf, and then one became more of a colorful mug situation. And the top one is mainly my tea cups and mugs, or what I drink tea out of. So on the bottom shelf, I started putting that. I think that's an ice bucket back there, that glass thing. I ended up putting some coffee accessories in there, and later you'll see that I ended up putting tea in there as well. And I have my little espresso pods and my espresso cups. And then the white thing with the wooden top, the ceramic thing, that is an airtight container I got from Target that I put my ground coffee beans in, because I get whole beans and then I grind them and then put them in that little container so they stay fresh. And then, yeah, you can see I'm kind of just rearranging things here. And I really wanted my coffee bags with the whole coffee beans to kind of be front and center, because this cabinet is right above my coffee grinder and coffee maker. So I can just grab it and get my coffee going, because I need it. So this is the before, which every single mug, I think, is stacked on top of each other at least once, sometimes twice in this cabinet. And here is the after, which this is everything I've ever wanted in a spooky mug cabinet and then some. I am so proud I could cry. Not realistically, but you know what I mean. All right, so my last cabinet of day one, I call this one the colorful cabinet. If you can't tell, I am super into aesthetics. I love functionality. That is number one. But if it can be aesthetically pleasing, then I know I will keep it up. I'm a full-blown Libra. I love aesthetics. I love anything that looks balanced. It just inspires me. This cabinet has mixing bowls, condiment bowls, cupcake liners, candles, and Halloween plates that don't belong in here. But I'm going to work on that when I give my bar area a makeover. So yeah, that's a different video. But that's it for day one. For day two, we'll be moving on to drawers. All right, so day two is all about drawers. So you're probably like, why are you opening a cabinet? Okay, so I really didn't want to spend any money on organization things or containers if I didn't have to, because if I'm going to do that, I really want to get some nicer ones where I need it, and not waste my money where I don't need it or have containers already. So I did a little digging, because I knew somewhere in the deep abyss of my Tupperware drawer, I'd have some loose containers that don't have lids, or maybe they're a little stained. So I'm going to repurpose some of them and use them for organization container things for some of my drawers. So that's the plan. So I'm emptying my entire Tupperware cabinet, and I'm going to declutter and sort some of the items, and we're going to find some gems. So here I'm just sorting my Tupperware by category. So I have all of my circular items together, square, rectangle, sorting them all like that. And then I have Tupperware that don't have lids, or just the random lids, put those together. Then from there, I will decide what I use, what I don't use, if I have utility for what I don't use, if I can use them for a container in a drawer, all that kind of stuff. Okay, so if you're a sucker for space saving, I'm about to make you cringe big time. So I like to store all of my Tupperware with their lids on. I know it's not the best space saving technique. A lot of people would say it's wasting space, but for me, it's all about functionality here. And I'm the type of person that even if I have my lids neatly placed in a little sorter area and all of my Tupperware stacked, I'm the type of person that when I'm looking for the Tupperware I want to use, I'm digging through it. I have to take apart a bunch of Tupperware because it's stacked, and then I have to look for the lid and I have to sort through that. It's just difficult for me personally to keep it organized long term when I'm storing the lids and the Tupperware separately and stacking it and all that kind of stuff. But what I do to save space is I will take these little containers that I use for salad dressings or homemade sauces, and I will keep the lids on so they're easier to access, and then I put them in these larger Glad containers or Tupperware that I always get around the holidays. People put Christmas cookies in them and deliver them, or your family gives them to you, or for leftovers. I hang on to these and I put these little Tupperware in them and stack it, and it's good to go. So I will use another one of those little Glad Tupperware, and I will put all of these lids in there. So you're probably like, girl, I thought you said you didn't store your lids like that. Okay, so these lids are to containers that are already being used in a drawer, or that I'm about to use in the drawers coming up. But I do hang on to them because the Tupperware is still in pretty good shape. So I will have the option to use those containers if I need them. All right, so now that I went on some sort of tangent about my Tupperware, I'm cleaning out this cabinet while I have it empty and doing the same thing I did earlier with the day one with the cabinets, which is I dust it first, then take a damp cloth with a little bit of dish soap on it and go through, wipe it down, and then dry it off. And I also make sure I get the inside of the door, the outside of the door, and I think I even got the outside of this cabinet because the cabinet wraps around where my dog bowls are and stuff like that. So I think I even wiped that down a little bit. But yeah, that's what I did here. All right, so after this, I'm just going to put all of my Tupperware back into this cabinet. So this is kind of the ultimate game of Tetris, in my opinion. I just move things around until I find the right match, basically, to where I can fit everything nicely to where it's not crammed in there, where I can reach in and grab it really quick. I also like to change it up sometimes. I mean, usually I'll stack the Tupperware that are similar shapes because that's just easier. But sometimes I will sort things by, I'll have my glass Tupperware on the top and the plastic Tupperware on the bottom, although it doesn't always work out like that. Yeah, I just try to at least keep the Tupperware I use the most towards the front, and then the Tupperware that I don't use as often towards the back. So that's definitely what I do every single time. But you'll see here that I'm struggling a little bit. I had to put some square things in the circle things, some plastic things near the glass thing. So it doesn't always end up perfect, and that's okay. I just ultimately here need it to be functional. So I didn't get a fancy before montage, but I did have this clip of when I first opened it, and you can see it's all right. It's not in the worst shape ever, but the after clip I think definitely is an improvement. Everything looks nice and neat and organized. And we even scored a couple of stray containers that we'll be using in the drawers coming up. Speaking of drawers, we're going to start unloading all of these drawers. Every single one in my kitchen, I'm going to unpack and put here on my island. And you will see, I don't know, it looks like Bed Bath & Beyond threw up all over it here coming up is what I'm trying to say. But I'm just taking everything out. I'm not sorting. I'm not doing anything quite yet. Just taking it all out and putting it here. The thing here, and the reason I'm glad I did empty everything out is, first of all, I got it all done. So it felt good. But also I wanted to relocate a lot of items. So some of the items, like a pizza cutter, for example, I don't need in my everyday drawer. So the fact that I needed to relocate and reorganize and find better solutions for a lot of these items, I am glad that I did it this way. But when I go to do maintenance in the future, I'll probably just go drawer by drawer and just do, okay, like 15 minutes a day here, 30 minutes a day there, or, do this line of drawers today and then do my everyday drawers tomorrow, that kind of thing, because it was a lot. I'm not going to lie. But it's done. It got done in one day and it felt good. So I can't be that mad about it. All right, now that we had a nice little chat while I was unloading all my drawers, I'm going to take all the organizers in my drawers that I already had in there, and I am soaking them in some warm soapy water so I can break down any sticky, weird, or crumbs, whatever ends up in these types of things. I'm just going to give them a nice soak for a little while I am decluttering. Next up, we are cleaning out the drawers. We're going to start wiping them down so they have enough time to dry while I'm decluttering. So we're not decluttering quite yet. And once again, I'm using my trusty handheld Dyson situation that I ranted about in day one. And I'm just over here letting the Dyson make my life easier. There's something about kitchen utensils or anything that has to be used around food where these drawers get crumbs and broken off cardboard or plastic or whatever else. I can just get through it really quick and get all those things sucked up into this contraption. Also, I use the little brush. It's like the shorter brush connector. I think there's only one with a small brush head on it. And the brush head is soft enough to where it doesn't scratch up my cabinet paint. But it does get in there in the nooks and crannies, especially in the front area, where there's a little bit of a crevice. It really gets in there. The brush head gets in there. I've also heard of people using toothpicks and stuff like that to get into the nooks and crannies, but since I do have this lacquer on my cabinets, it does chip pretty easily, if we're being honest. I actually need to touch them up pretty bad. So a toothpick or any sort of sharp object, I feel like would be taking a risk, but the brush heads on that Dyson are very gentle, but do the job. So love that. And I'm already on to not Dysoning, so I don't know why I'm still talking about it, but I am wiping down my cabinets like I did, or drawers, sorry, like all the other ones. All right, so finally, we're going to start decluttering this large mound of kitchen stuff. I don't know if there is a more accurate description than that, but I'm categorizing all of this kitchen stuff. So I kind of have my plastic spoons and spatulas together, my wooden spoons together, but they're kind of next to each other because they go in a similar drawer. And then I have serveware, you know, like little pie, what do you call those? Pie servers? Whatever. I clearly don't know what I'm talking about. But you know, my fancy serveware for Thanksgiving time, that kind of stuff. So when going through each item, I did let Marie Kondo rub off on me a little bit, and I do try to touch each item and at least address each item. And sometimes I think about whether or not it sparks joy. It doesn't always work for me when it comes to kitchen utensils, if we're being honest. So for me, in this realm, it's more about practicality. When's the last time I used it? Have you ever used this? Do you think about a cantaloupe knife when you cut a cantaloupe? And knowing how I am, if I don't say yes right away, then the answer is no, and I need to donate it and find it a better home. So here's what everything looked like once it was categorized and it's ready to go back in the drawers. It still looks like a lot of stuff, not gonna lie, but it's an improvement. All right, so here is where finding those little Tupperwares earlier when we did a Tupperware search, this is where it's gonna come in handy. I'm gonna start taking the Tupperware and filling it with little items or just items that need a place to go. My ultimate goal here is to give everything a place. So when I use it and go to put it back, I know where to put it, which is why I also try to pair like items together in each container. If it's not possible and they're miscellaneous, no big deal. I just try to do the best I can to where at least I can see where the items are and there's room for it, and I'm not just throwing it in a drawer randomly, because that's when things start getting out of control. And if I start overflowing my containers, then I know I need to get rid of something, so it keeps me in check. I was also really excited, probably abnormally excited, about finding a place for my KitchenAid mixer, beater things, and my Cuisinart parts, because it is so hard to find. I don't know, the parts are just kind of awkward for those kind of things. So I was really excited to already have a Tupperware where I could just, I don't know, I could just use it for this and not have to spend any money. Okay, so next we're going to start putting everything back into the drawers. So the bottom drawer already had placemats and my rolling pins in there, so I'm going to keep them there for now. The next drawer, though, if you remember when I first kind of pulled it out, had just, everything was just flung in there. There was no place for anything. There was no dedicated container. It was pretty terrible. So we just worked that out, and now I'm putting everything back in. And once again, it's kind of a Tetris game, just figuring out what layout works best and where everything fits. Anything I don't use as often is in the back, and things that I reach for, like whisks and things like that, I reach for often, are in the front. So here's when I first opened the drawer, which I guess there were a couple containers in there I spot, but the rest was just all just flung in there. And then after, which looks, it looks so much better. Everything has a place, definitely more containers, and I did declutter a lot of items to where I can make room for the items I do have and where I can see everything. Okay, so next up is my Ziploc baggie. What else? Parchment paper, plastic wrap, I don't know what else, foil, that type of drawer. That's what this is. And I'm not going to lie, this one stays pretty under control. It wasn't in bad shape to begin with. I think it's because everything's already in a container, so it's not a problem area necessarily, as long as I keep, like, you know, if it's an empty box, I toss it, that kind of thing. I also keep my baking mats. I tried to keep a scale in there. It didn't work out, so we'll address that later. This drawer is right above my Ziploc baggie drawer. This is where I keep all my hand towels and washcloths and sometimes some newer sponges I haven't used yet. What I do is I fold them all first, hot dog style, then hamburger. If you know, then you know. And then I usually stack them on top of each other and start rolling each towel. So I start from the top and just roll it all the way down, and then just place them back to back on the left side of my drawer. I just love having organized hand towels all ready to go. All I have to do, this drawer is right next to my sink. I just open it up, grab a new hand towel, and I don't have to drip anywhere. It just is, it's one of my favorite drawers in the whole kitchen. And then with the washcloths, typically I just fold them, but here I rolled them just to kind of make it look uniform. But it definitely looks more organized, and it does fit better when it's rolled like this. Sometimes folding it, you're just stacking them and they just get stuck underneath. You know, when you shut the drawer, it just crushes it and sticks out, and it's just not a good look. Also, I rolled up some microfiber towels, and I also tried to roll up this mop thing, but it didn't really work out. So I just took it and folded it and placed it there, and also put a new pack of sponges and a vegetable brush in there as well. And that is this drawer. Anyway, so now I'm going through and grabbing the organizers that we had soaking, and I'm just rinsing them off and scrubbing off any areas. For some reason, I think it was my silverware organizer, had something sticky on it. I don't know what happened in there. It was honey dripped in. I don't know what was going on. There was a beehive in there. I don't know, but it was bad. So I just scrubbed it all out. Then I dried it off, and yeah. Moving on to this drawer, which is my plastic spoons, my spatulas, and my wooden spoons. So my spatulas, I line them up and put them in the front there. I also put my plastic spoons in there, my wooden spoons in there, and that's basically it. Moving on to my everyday utensil type of drawer. On the right hand side, I'm putting knives. These are all the protected type of knives with covers on them. So I probably wouldn't put just stray knives in there because I don't trust myself to reach into a drawer with just a stray knife, but they have covers on them. Also putting my measuring cups in there, my dry measuring cups. I have 3 of them, but I'll probably just take one set and put them in a baking cabinet that I'm wanting to do here. That's what I kind of want to do with that bar situation I'm going to do later. And I used the Tupperware we pulled earlier and put my measuring spoons in there. And let me tell you, that's a life changer because measuring spoons just end up everywhere. I also have my herb scissors, my vegetable scissors, and then my kitchen, or just like if I get a box or if I have to open something kind of scissors. I have separate kitchen scissors in my knife collection, knife block. I also threw in a straight spatula thing that I use to level off when I'm baking. I also put in, I don't know, what am I doing? Let's see, girl. Oh, I'm putting in a can opener, good call, and a knife. That's usually what I use to open boxes or protect myself in case an intruder decides to bust in on me baking cookies. All right. I also wanted to show you what this drawer looked like in the broad daylight so you could see how bright, and the darkness and dinginess was not doing it any justice. So this is what it looks like during the day. Moving on to the next drawer, I used this little container that actually came with the silverware organizer. It's from the Container Store, by the way. I'll link it below if I can find it. I use that for my chip clips, any little scrapers or rubber bands, things like that. I also used my little fancy sushi mat for decorative purposes. It's multi-purpose there. And put my little IKEA tea things there. And then my serveware I put on the side. And then to put away my silverware, I took my forks, lined them up, and then just did a little fancy splay situation. My silverware doesn't stay like this all the time. Who are we kidding? But I figured for the occasion, since we are decluttering and organizing, might as well make it look fancy for 2.5 seconds. Oh, by the way, the silverware, that's from CB2. If I can find it, once again, I'll link it. I also put this little mini silverware in my olive picker in the front. I use this to pick out olives and capers and all those types of things. So here's what it looked like after I was finished, but I was also losing a lot of daylight, so you couldn't see a whole lot. So I refilmed it in the daylight so you could get a good look at the silverware drawer. Okay, so for my final drawer, it has pot holders, my oven mitts, all those things, because it's right next to the oven, so I can just grab my oven mitts and reach right in the oven from there. So yeah, what else? Oh, my wine opener and my apron. What else? Spoon rest, and actually my scale ended up back in there. For my lower cabinets, I decided to go cabinet by cabinet, mainly because I was already pretty happy with the location of the items within each cabinet, but also because there's a lot of large items in the cabinets I'm about to tackle. So it's not like a lot of the smaller items we dealt with earlier where you can easily relocate them or switch up the drawers or switch up cabinets or move this here or there. For example, my Instant Pot goes in this cabinet and it's really difficult for that to fit anywhere else. This is really the greatest place for it to go given the width and the height of the Instant Pot plus the accessories. So might as well just get in there, get a nice good clean going on. All right, so next I'm going to put my Instant Pot back into its little spot in the cabinet, and I ended up putting all the accessories in the Instant Pot itself to save space. Now that it's summer, I'm not using my Instant Pot as much as I did in the fall and winter, so come fall and winter, I'll probably take the accessories out, but for now it saves space, which is great since I'm not using it as often. All right, moving on to the next. It's technically 2 cabinet doors, but it's one large cabinet. This is where I keep all my casserole dishes, my Pyrex dishes, my bread, what do you call those? Bread dishes, bread pans, and any other pans, like cake pans, stuff like that. I keep all of that under here. And so I'm just going to take everything out and do a little decluttering, kind of see what I have. Once again, kind of sort it in categories. See, I have a lot of bread pans here. Sometimes I use ceramic. Sometimes I use the tin pans or metal pans or whatever you want to call them. And sometimes I use glass. So I do like having options there. But for example, a pan that has a stain like the one you just saw, I have never been able to get out that stain. I don't even know what it's from, but I don't really know if I feel comfortable cooking with it. So I just put it in the donate box and figured either somebody can clean it or figure out what to do with it. Also, there was another pan that had scratches on it that it was non-stick. So I went ahead and put that over there. Also, this guy right here, this is one of those heating pad carrier things that I use with there's a casserole dish that fits inside of it that can be kept warm, so I carry it with me when I go to Thanksgiving or holiday dinners or Friendsgiving, that kind of thing. So I'm just giving it a good wipe down. There were no spills or anything, but I figured while I'm here, might as well wipe any dust off. And then here I'm just dusting everything off and wiping everything down inside of these cabinets. I make sure I get all the sides, the doors, everything like that. And this cabinet, for whatever reason, look at the dust on the bottom shelf. Oh my gosh, I clearly hadn't done this in a while, and it was much, much needed. Because, you could straight up see where those Tupperware were sitting. Oh, looks like ghost Tupperware in there, whatever. Either way, this is my life. What can I say? No shame in my failure to dust game. Oh gosh. Okay, moving on from that. Just wiping down all of my cabinets. Just making sure I get this nice and clean. Okay, so here I'm putting everything back, and once again putting the dishes that I don't use as often towards the back, like my pie pans there, and then just putting everything else back. And once again, I do leave the lids on my Pyrex dishes like I do my Tupperware, because it saves me a ton of time later, so I don't have to search for the lids, especially during the holidays when I'm running behind, or if I'm invited to someone's house for dinner and have to bring something, the lids are already there, so I don't have to run any later than I normally do. Also, that little metal shelf you see there, it saves a ton of space for shorter pans, like loaf pans, and I got that from the Container Store. I will link it below if I can find it. Woo! Okay, next we've got the pots and pans cabinet. I think there's also some larger Tupperware and maybe a cake Tupperware thing in here. This is basically the Mary Poppins of all cabinets. This is one of those corner cabinets that normally has that really awkward door that folds a million times. If you know, then you know. I had one at my old house. I hit my knee on that thing or tripped over it, smacked myself with it 3,000 times. So I'm glad the builders did not put that in this house. But I basically meant I had to crawl back into the deep abyss, like I said, Mary Poppins of all cabinets, and get out this stuff. And I'm a long person, so I can only imagine if I didn't have these long ass arms, how far I'd have to crawl back into this deep abyss of whatever. So anyways, I just kept pulling things out. And I hadn't gotten back in those corners in a long time. Seriously, since I got my countertops done, which was 2 years ago, and there was broken ceramic tile in there still. Oh my gosh. And I've been eating out of these pans. I don't even want to talk about it. Whatever. Also, I had to go in with the big guns, get the long broom, make sure I got everything out, and just swept it into this little dustpan. Then I went in with the Dyson, made sure I got everything else, any remnants, up with that thing. Then long armed it, got the long arm, got in there. Let me just tell you, as I'm doing this voiceover, I almost forgot what I like filmed. So it's just one thing after another. I'm like, and then you did what? A long arm? What's happening? Okay. Anyways, then there's another step. There's more to come. Don't worry. I dusted it, wiped it down with my damp cloth, and miraculously, my arms were too short to get way back into those corners, so I had to MacGyver it. I grabbed that handle thing that I was just using for my duster, wrapped a damp cloth around it, and pushed it back there into the corners, got it all wiped down, and then I dried it all off. I wiped down around the cabinet, the front and back of the door, and let me just tell you, this was a workout, and I probably won't do it for another 5,000 years. I mean, I'm proud. It's done. It feels good. I now don't have to worry about accidentally eating tile shards for dinner. So, yeah. Anyway, here I'm just going through the items I pulled out of the deep abyss area. I had some Easter bowls that I hadn't used ever, so I donated those. I also had like 3 colanders, so I got rid of one of those. And I did keep all my pots and pans because I do use a lot of pots and pans since I have celiac disease and my husband doesn't. So I do use certain pans for glutinous items. Also, I kept my larger Tupperware I like making large salads in those, or potato salads, those types of things, and I keep them in those larger Tupperware. So then I'm just putting all my pots and pans back. And once again, I do keep my lids on my pots. This is life-changing for me because I don't have to look for lids all the time now. I just pull out what pot I need. It already has a lid on it, and I'm good to go. So just putting everything back in a nice little order. Next up is my small appliance cabinet. I really don't like keeping small appliances on my countertop. It's not my favorite thing ever. So if I'm not using it, I keep it under here. I have my Cuisinart, my toaster, which I use sometimes a lot, but I go through phases. If I'm using it a lot, I keep it on my counter. Also, my juicer, and then my spiroli. It's the thing that makes your zucchini spiral, like a pasta. Keep that in there as well. I knew I wanted to keep all my small appliances, so I didn't declutter them or anything like that. So I just got underneath the cabinet and used my Dyson, wiped it down, and then dried it off, and everything was ready to go back into the cabinet. I also ended up adding my Vitamix machine, the machine part of the Vitamix, to this cabinet. The pitcher part of the Vitamix is actually on the top shelf of the glassware cabinet. We did on day 1, and it's such a tall pitcher that really there's only a couple places it could fit. Regardless, this is where the Vitamix machine now lives, so I'm just putting everything else back in there until it looks all nice and pretty and fancy. So here is the before and the after. It kind of looks similar, just cleaner. All right, so next up is under the sink, and I was super excited about this area because it was in pretty bad shape, and there's something about under the sink that is just awkward, and it's kind of ugly, and it's not my favorite place in the whole world, so it tends to get neglected. First, I had to give it a good clean, and because it had been a while, so I put on my gloves because this is one of those spaces you don't know what you're going to find. But I also have my Dyson to suck anything up just in case. I don't think there was anything in there, luckily. So anyways, I went in and started wiping things down, and there was some sort of spill or a leak from some sort of soap. And let me tell you, it took me 5,000 years to get this wiped up. Look at it. It's like literally foaming at the mouth. My cabinet is. It's so bad. But finally, I got it under control, wiped it down, dried it off, and was already looking so much better. So yeah, next it was time to start decluttering. Okay, now it was time to declutter the mess that was this bucket. This was my storage solution, you guys. This was organization at its finest, a bucket filled with random stuff. So I started taking everything out and sorting it. So I put my magic erasers and some sponges and wipes together, and also my sink accessories, drain covers or drain, what do you call them? The blockers, whatever. And plugs probably. And then, my garbage disposal key, all that kind of stuff. I just emptied everything out. And then I started putting things back into the bucket that I no longer needed or used, since I was no longer going to be using the bucket either. So I had some sponges for a wand I didn't even have. I don't even know what happened to it. And a soap dispenser that was broken, just a couple other things that I no longer was going to use. So I set that aside and I started putting everything back into the cabinets. A lot of Mrs. Meyer's backstock. I have a lot of all-purpose spray, especially their orange clove scent from the fall. I have leftover. I stock up every year. Oh, it's so good. Okay, also their dish soap, my Method Daily Granite Cleaner, and then my dishwasher soap and stuff that I have, like dishwasher stuff. So since the bucket was doing such a terrible job keeping everything organized, I picked up these acrylic drawers from Amazon. I'll have them linked in the description for you. And on the top drawer, I put these magic erasers in there. And on the bottom drawer, I put all of my sink accessories. So the plugs, the drain, all that kind of stuff went in here. And I only picked up one set of these drawers because I didn't know what the quality was going to be like, if they were, how big they were going to be, that whole thing. And I am loving these. I want another set for under here. They are stackable, and I want a set for under all my other sink areas. Anyways, I'm just finishing putting everything back, and all I had left over were some garbage disposal pods. They clean your garbage disposal, and I didn't have anything to put them in, so I found this old OXO thing that wasn't being used and just thought it'd be a good spot for them. Put it right there, and ta-da! It was a done deal. Oh wait, no, I put my dustpan back. So here's what it looked like before with the bucket and everything just thrown in there. And here is the after. I'm loving those drawers. Also, I thought I'd tackle my junk drawer because in every kitchen there is a junk drawer, I think. I don't know. Maybe not every kitchen has a junk drawer. Tell me down in the comments if you have a junk drawer and tell me about it. Tell me what your favorite thing to hoard in your junk drawer is. For me, hands down, my junk drawer is where all of my used up gift cards go to die. It is a used up gift card graveyard. Anyways, here I'm just wiping down my drawer, getting it all cleaned out. So from here, I start sorting and decluttering. I get all my gift cards together, all my business cards together. Anyone who's worked on our house, I always keep their business cards in here. That way, let's say our AC goes out or I need something painted or something like that. I always know where to go and who's worked on our house. Also, there's my gift cards, the 5 million of them. I also get out a pad of paper and test all of my pens and markers, highlighters, all that kind of stuff to see what's working and what I can get rid of. I'm basically just making sure I'm using or need everything in this container. I might even take up some pens and markers back up to my office because I really don't need 5,000 highlighters in this little container in my junk drawer. Once everything is sorted, I'll start putting everything back. This little pencil container, I think I got from Bed Bath & Beyond a long time ago. I also took one of those little Tupperware things that we went through earlier and put any spare house keys of any of my family members or anyone else's house I have keys for. Also, my spare car key and a flashlight went into this other little container. And then I line all my business cards, everything else right up in front. I also keep little batteries for my garage door opener or car keys, those types of things in here as well. Since I always have my car keys near around my kitchen, I can easily change out the batteries or change out my garage door opener without having to bring anything upstairs or go dig out a bunch of batteries where in my battery storage. So here is the before on the junk drawer and the after. So last but not least, I'm going to be emptying out and cleaning my everyday type of cabinets. This is my everyday glassware or drinkware, I guess you could say, kind of cabinet. I know you're probably like, more drinkware, more glassware. I know. This is definitely everyday stuff though. So shorter glasses. I also have juice glasses, my copper mugs for Moscow Mules. I also have taller glasses. Those are more of my water glasses that I drink out of every day. And then the second shelf has whiskey glasses and my fancier taller glasses that I set the dining room table with, or that's what I serve water in if somebody comes over. And the top shelf has all wine glasses. And here I'm just working shelf by shelf because these everyday cabinets definitely get way more love than any of the other cabinets. So they get wiped down frequently. So yeah, just making sure everything is nice and wiped down. I thought I would include this just for you cleaning video lovers out there. So Last but certainly not least is my dishware cabinet. This might be my favorite cabinet in the whole kitchen. There's something about the black cabinet, white dishware situation that I love. The top shelf there, I keep these larger, what are they? Larger mugs. And I don't know about you, but there's something about eating leftover soup or just soup in general out of larger mugs. I love everything about it. So that's what I use these mugs for. Obviously, we have a whole mug cabinet, but that's all like coffee mug stuff. This is what I use for leftover soups. Second shelf, I have some white nesting bowls that I got from Crate and Barrel, and then those pattern bowls right there are from Home Goods. They're Halloween bowls, actually. Each one has a different pattern. One has bats, one has black cats, one has ghosts, one has skulls. It's all stuff like that. Then the next shelf, it's all bowls. So I have some Asian bowls that actually came with some chopsticks, and then on the right side I have some just regular bowls, and then the bottom shelf, all plates, larger plates and then smaller plates. So yeah, and that is my dishware cabinet. So I'm just gonna finish up wiping down the cabinet doors, and then I am done forever. Just kidding. I'm totally still wiping down cabinets 3,000 years later. But regardless, after this, I'm going to show you a little before and after montage. But other than that, I'm going to let you guys go here. I hope you enjoyed this cleaning video or decluttering with me. If you did, you can give it a thumbs up. Say hey ghoul hey down in the comments, because you know I love talking to you. Also, tell me what area are you guys decluttering right now? Are you deep cleaning? What area are you on? Let me know down in the comments. Any tips and tricks you guys have, or anything that you saw in here that I didn't link in the description box, let me know. Anyways, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys next time.